Cloud computing is definitely a very common term these days amongst emerging and or developing technologies. So, what is it really all about? Well, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, has released a definition that says cloud computing is a model for enabling convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources. For example, networks, servers, storage, applications, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. So that's all well and good to say, but in a more realistic or day to day explanation, really just think about the utilities that you have in your home. None of us have the means to create our own phone network or our own power for our houses. So we rely on other businesses or organizations to provide the infrastructure for us. And a phone call is a perfect example. I can't build the infrastructure to make a phone call from my house to every other house in the world. I just don't have the means. But it's already there. It's accessible simply by subscribing to the services of the company that has the infrastructure. So they already have it. They let me use it for a small fee. This is exactly what cloud computing is. There are a number of organizations that have huge amounts of resources dedicated to IT. So I can take advantage of that. I can use their services. They will allocate some of those resources to me or my organization so that I can use them as I need them. And I only have to pay for what I use. So I'm, in essence, creating an IT infrastructure, but I'm leasing it, if you will. I'm renting it from another provider so that I don't have to purchase all of that infrastructure myself. So it's basically the same model. You just use the infrastructure of some other organization. Now, there are two main concepts involved with cloud computing, and the first one you see here is abstraction. And this is a process in which specific details are hidden or ignored to simplify or generalize something. And an example of this would be storage. You just need to store some data somewhere. Well, ultimately, it really does not matter where it actually resides, as long as you know how to get to it from your particular computer, for example. It doesn't really matter to you if that data is on a server that's sitting in the next office or if it's on a server halfway around the world. As long as you can gain access to it, it really doesn't matter where it is. So the specific details in terms of the location of that information just aren't pertinent. So they're ignored or simplified so that, of course, we can simply access this content. Virtualization is a process in which software manages hardware resources of physical hosts so that resources can be used more efficiently by multiple virtualized guest systems. Now, this is a concept that's been around a long time. A virtual machine is, in essence, the ability to install an operating system more than one time on the same physical computer. These days, the hardware resources are very high. So, to take a single physical server, for example, and install an operating system on it really does not tax the capabilities of that server at all. So, virtualization is the process by packaging up multiple software representations of additional machines. So, another operating system, and another operating system, and another operating system, all contained within software that will all make use of that same physical computer. So you could have five, six, 10, even well beyond that, virtual machines running on the same collection of physical hardware. In terms of layers, there are three cloud layers, and these terms might vary from definition to definition, but an infrastructure cloud abstracts applications from servers and servers from storage. So, again, from the perspective of a customer, an application is running somewhere. We're able to access that application. But again, it doesn't really matter which server it's running on. And then the storage, the same idea. As long as the storage is accessible from any particular server, it does not need to be physically on that server. It could be on any server. So it really does not matter in terms of the location of an application, nor the storage from the perspective of a server. As long as it can be accessed, doesn't matter where it is. A content cloud abstracts data from the applications. So in this regard, an application needs access to data. Again, it does not matter where it resides. It does not have to be on the same physical device. So if it's a database application, you can have your application on a device. The data resides somewhere else. Where? It doesn't matter as long as it's accessible. And an information cloud abstracts access from clients to data. So again, it's the same concept. It simply separates the device usually from the data. So you're accessing the information from some kind of device from somewhere. Again, it really does not matter. You can simply access that data from anything, from anywhere. So those are some of the primary concepts when dealing with cloud computing.